Now that version 3.5 has been out for a little while, Kuro Games has officially dropped the drip marketing for the next batch of resonators. Leading the first phase is Qingxiao, followed by Jingran in the second phase. Both characters were teased some time ago. Along with that announcement, we also learned their attributes, weapon types, and even their signature echo sets. That alone already gives us a pretty good idea of the roles they are meant to fill and the value they will likely bring once they release. Since most players probably won't have enough resources to pull both characters, today we are going to break down what makes each of them stand out, what kind of teams they will fit into, how much value they could bring to your account, and ultimately, which one is the better priority in version 3.6. Before we start, please hit the like and subscribe button. Now if you have done that, let's get this video started. Let's begin with the character that's easily generating the most hype, Qingxiao. She made incredible first impression during the latest main story, and judging from what we saw, she already looks like a powerhouse. It's now officially confirmed that she's an Aero Resonator, and from everything we have seen so far, she appears to be a main DPS. Honestly, that should not come as much of a surprise. Anyone capable of controlling thousands of gigantic swords was never going to end up being just another support. Just imagining the animations, attack sequences, and sheer damage potential already makes her look incredibly promising. What really confirms her role though is her dedicated echo set. Heart of Evil's Purge is clearly designed for Aero Resonators. The 2-piece bonus grants 10% Aero damage, while the 5-piece effect increases crit damage by 20% and Aero damage bonus by 13% for 15 seconds, after inflicting Twin Strength Shifting. It's pretty obvious this is Qingxiao's best in-slot echo set. So if you have already decided you are pulling for her no matter what, you can actually start farming her echoes ahead of time and have everything ready by release. The echo set also tells us quite a bit about her kit. Most importantly, it confirms that she will be able to inflict Twin Strength Shifting herself through certain abilities. That immediately points us toward the kinds of teams she will perform best in. She's clearly designed as a Toon Break DPS, meaning she will naturally benefit from teammates that increase Toon Break damage or accelerate Toon build up. At the same time, because she applies Toon Strength Shifting on her own, she is not completely dependent on another character to enable her. That gives her more flexibility when choosing sub-DPS teammates. Of course, if her kit contains mechanics that reward repeatedly inflicting Toon Strength Shifting, then pairing her with another character capable of applying it will almost certainly push her damage even higher. In general, resonators that inflict or interact with Toon Strength Shifting already deal bonus damage against affected enemies. Combine that mechanic with her echo set's massive crit damage and aero damage bonuses, and Qingxiao is stacking multiple self-buffs before you even consider external supports. Everything points toward her becoming one of the strongest Aero DPS characters we have seen. That being said, the competition is fierce. Sigrika is already one of the highest damage Aero characters in the game, while Amy remains incredible DPS with both Fusion Burst and Twin Break playstyles. And then Luke also a perfect competitor, as they both share really similar kit. Those premium teams are already powerful enough that, purely from numbers perspective, Qingxiao probably won't feel mandatory if you already own them. On the other hand, if your account is missing a top tier DPS, let's say you don't own Sigrika as the Aero DPS, and even Luke as the Toon Strength DPS, Qingxiao could easily become one of the strongest carries available. She also seems incredibly comfortable to play. Since she can manipulate swords remotely, she does not always need to stay close to enemies, which should make her gameplay feel both safe and fluid while still delivering massive damage. As for team building, everything circles back around Toon Break. Because she is built around that mechanic, anyone capable of supporting Toon-related gameplay immediately becomes a strong partner. She will have multiple sub-DPS options, but Morny stands out as the premier support thanks to her ability to increase Toon build up while also providing a wide range of offensive buffs. One of Morny's strongest buffs only activates when someone on the team inflicts Toon Strength Shifting. Normally that would force you to run someone like Linnae to activate the full 40% all damage bonus. Since Qingxiao can inflict Toon Strength Shifting herself, she can already unlock Morny's entire kit without needing another enabler. That doesn't mean Linnae loses value though, it's quite the opposite. Linnae still doubles down on Toon Strength Shifting while providing plenty of universal buffs, making her one of Qingxiao's strongest teammates regardless. So the familiar Linnae and Morny duo remains an outstanding core for Qingxiao. In fact, any DPS could literally work well if you pair them with these two girls. Of course, many other DPS characters also need those two supports, so building multiple teams may require compromises. If you are willing to make those adjustments though, this composition should perform exceptionally well. Another interesting option is Dinia in her Toon Strength Resonance mode. She can also inflict Toon Strength Shifting while providing several universal buffs. In many ways, Dinia and Linnae fulfill similar roles. The difference is that Denia shines more in AoE situations thanks to her crowd control abilities. She also has stronger synergy with characters that apply to strength shifting because her outro amplifies the incoming resonators damage by 40% if they inflict that status. Combined with her respectable personal damage, Denia may actually become Qingxiao's best sub DPS in Toon Resonance mode. One thing to remember though is that both Denia and Lene are premium sub DPS characters. If you only own one of them, you will probably have to decide whether they support Amiot or Qingxiao. If you happen to own both, then running separate premium teams becomes much easier. Right now, we still don't know every detail about Qingxiao's damage profile. As more information comes out closer to release, additional synergies will almost certainly appear. Even so, I still expect her strongest lineup to be Qingxiao, Denia, and Morne. Everything about her kit points toward maximizing Toon Break, and those teammates support that perfectly. Now let's move on to Jingran, who is expected to arrive during the second half of version 3.6. Although he appeared in the story, he did not showcase nearly as much as Qingxiao. Thankfully, we already know he will be a Fusion Resonator, and his signature echo set, Lamp of Nether Road, leaves a very little mystery about his intended role. The 2-piece bonus grants 10% HP, the 5-piece bonus activates whenever the user gains a shield, providing 5% crit rate for 5 seconds, and stacking up to 4 times. Once fully stacked, it also grants 15% fusion damage. There is actually quite a lot we can learn from that alone. First, Jingran almost certainly functions as another main DPS. A free 20% crit rate from his own echo set dramatically reduces his stat requirements and helps him crit much more consistently. If there was any remaining doubt, the additional fusion damage bonus removes it. Everything points toward him being a dedicated damage dealer. There's still the possibility he ends up as more of a burst DPS that swaps in and out quickly, but since his echo set only buffs himself, a main DPS role seems much more likely. Of course, Amiot already sits comfortably at the top among fusion damage dealers. Even so, Jingran's unique mechanics may still give players plenty of reasons to pull him. One of the biggest differences is his ability to stack multiple shields on himself. That already separates his playstyle from Amiot's. He is also the second HP scaling main DPS in the game. Because of that, he will naturally be much tankier, and similar to Cartesia, it's possible his kit revolves around manipulating its own HP. I could easily imagine abilities that consume large portions of his health in exchange for high damage, while his multiple shields prevent him from actually being put in danger. If that's how he works, then his gameplay would feel completely different from Amiot's, giving players another appealing fusion DPS without directly competing with existing premium teams. There's even a chance those shields can extend to allies, allowing him to contribute some defensive utility as well, although I would not expect that to be his primary role. One thing we do know for certain is that he will specialize in heavy attack damage. His signature 4 Echo specifically buffs fusion damage and heavy attack damage. That also gives us a pretty clear idea of which weapons and teammates will work best for him. There should already be several options worth considering if you decide to skip his signature weapon. Overall, Jingran looks incredibly unique, and his kit already appears loaded with useful mechanics. Perhaps even more importantly, he does not seem overly dependent on recently released supports, making him easier to build for players with older accounts. When it comes to teammates, things get pretty interesting. His best synergy is surprisingly straightforward. Because he stacks multiple shields and focuses on heavy attack damage with a broad blade, he shares many similarities with Augusta. Augusta also revolves around heavy attacks and maintaining multiple personal shields. That shield mechanic is exactly why Augusta pairs so well with Yuno. Yuno has the ability that increases the damage of the active resonator inside her full moon domain by 4% per shield, stacking all the way to 40%. Until now, Augusta has been the only character capable of maximizing that effect. Based on what we know so far, Jingran probably won't quite reach 10 shields, but since his echo set already requires 4 shield stacks, he should at least gain 16% damage amplification from Yuno. That's on top of the 50% heavy attack damage bonus Yuno already provides through her outro. Of course, it's still possible Jingran can generate even more shields than his echo set requires. If that's the case, his synergy with Yuno only gets stronger. Even in the worst case scenario though, Yuno still provides incredible amount of damage amplification. Alongside Yuno, general supports like Farina and Shorekeeper will both work well, with Shorekeeper likely remaining the strongest option. The nice thing is that none of these teammates are particularly new. Many players have already had opportunities to pull them over previous banners, making Jingran Premium team much easier to assemble. If you don't own Yuno, there are still several viable sub DPS options. Rebecca, who was recently given away for free, already amplifies heavy attack damage and should work very well. And let's not forget about Mortefi, since he's technically a broken 4-star that amplify heavy damage in this game. There are also fusion amplifiers to consider. None of them specifically boost heavy attack damage, but if you are running a mono fusion lineup, Lupa remains an excellent choice thanks to the broad fusion buffs she provides. So overall, Jingran has plenty of flexibility when it comes to team building. His strongest teammates are also characters many players already own, making him much easier to slot into existing accounts. Looking at everything together, version 3.6 is shaping up to introduce two very exciting resonators. We still don't know every detail of their kits, but based on everything revealed so far, both have the potential to become extremely powerful. Between the two, Qingxiao may require more investment if your account lacks recent tune-related sub-DPS characters. You could easily find yourself borrowing supports away from another premium team. If that is not an issue for your account, then I genuinely believe Qingxiao has the potential to become the strongest DPS released in version 3.6, and one of the hardest hitting characters in the game. On the other hand, if your account already has Yuno and several heavy attack supports ready to go, then Jingran may actually be the easier character to build around, while still delivering outstanding damage. As always, the better choice ultimately depends on your current roster. Realistically, I think most players are already invested in Qingxiao because of her incredible designs and flashy abilities. Even so, it's usually smarter to prioritize the character that actually fits your account, rather than simply chasing hype. The good news is that both of the team are damage dealers. Neither one is truly mandatory, and skipping both is a perfectly valid option. No matter which direction you choose, both Qingxiao and Jingran looks like they will perform extremely well when paired with the right teammates. Both Qingxiao and Jingran's kit may not yet available to be broken down in details, but from the new echo sets alone, I think we could have at least make a decision in which character to prioritize in 3.6. And that's everything for today's version 3.6 overview. So who are you planning to pull in 3.6? Is it Qingxiao or Jingran? Or maybe both of them? Or interestingly, you would skip them all? Please let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button, turn on notification as well so you won't be missing out on any of my Wuthering Waves content. I will see you guys on my next one. Bye bye!